I bought this cup from a thrift shop, what we call mitumba here in Kenya. I could not leave it when I read what it said. I am a teacher. What's your superpower? And I agree completely, 100%. Teaching is a superpower. And teachers are superheroes, but only teachers who are there to change lives. Not teachers who are there to just finish the syllabus, get their money, and go home. But what is the difference between these two teachers? Because the school is the same, the students are the same, the curriculum is the same, and sometimes even the salary is the same. So what's the difference? The difference is in what I call the triple S of a teacher who leaves a legacy, or the triple S of teachers who change lives. What is this triple S? Service, solution, and sacrifice. And I know the people that watch such videos, if you clicked on this and you're still watching, you are someone, if you are a teacher, you are someone who you want to change lives. So watch to the end. Let's change lives together. So let's get the butter from the duck. Let's dive in. Number one, service. What is service to you as a teacher? Service means giving more than your role. Service means that you do more than is expected. You don't just do your job. You do more than is expected. You do what meets the needs of the students or the entire school or the community, because some teachers transcend the school. They teach the community. Those are teachers who change lives. As Khalil Gibran said in his beautiful book, The Prophet, you give but a little when you give of your possessions. It's only when you give of yourself that you truly give. This is a video that I wish every teacher gets to watch. Come, let's watch it together. It's called The Teddy Story. It's a story of an amazing teacher. Let's watch it together.
There's a story many years ago of an elementary school teacher. Her name was Mrs. Thompson. As she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. But that was impossible, because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with the other children, that his clothes were messy, and that he constantly needed a bath. Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen and making bold X's and then putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and he has good manners. He's a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he's troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle." His 3rd grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if steps aren't taken." Teddy's 4th grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's withdrawn and doesn't show up much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and sometimes he even sleeps in class." By now, Mrs. Thompson realized the problem, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in heavy brown paper that he got from the grocery bag. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled her children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed after school that day just long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On the very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him and his mind seemed to come alive, the more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class, and despite her lie, became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under the door from Teddy telling her that she was still the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school third in his class, and she was still the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 4 years after that, she got another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he stayed in school and stuck with it, and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the very best and favorite teacher he ever had in his whole life. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still the best and favorite teacher he ever had, but now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. But the story doesn't end there. You see, there was yet another letter that spring. Teddy said he'd met this girl and was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit in the place at the wedding that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did, and guess what? She wore that bracelet, the one with the several rhinestones missing. And she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson came with tears in her eyes and whispered back, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." Isn't that a beautiful story? Yeah.
There you have it. I'm very curious. When I'm doing physical trainings or team buildings and I show teachers this video, most of them cannot help but tear up. It's a very emotional video towards the end. Myself, I'm very emotional every time I watch it. So my question to you, and just tell me in the comments, how did you feel? Did you have a tear? Did you look at your life in the next 5, 10, 20 years? What will your students say about you? Because students will talk about you. What will they say? What are your students saying about you now? Because the dream begins with a teacher that believes in you. So are you a teacher like Mrs. Stoddard? Are you a teacher that is teaching children? Or are you a teacher that is teaching just maths, physics, Kiswahili, social studies? Which teacher are you? 10, 20 years, 30 years from now, what will your students say about you? What are your students saying about you now? I just want to remind you, you give but a little when you give of your possessions. It's only when you give of yourself that you truly give. And by the way, when I talk to some teachers, they say, I'm not paid enough, so I cannot give more. And I tell them, you are wrong. I know you might not be paid enough. Let me tell you what I tell teachers when I'm training physically in team buildings and trainings, teacher trainings. There is no amount of money that you will be paid that will be enough for the value you bring to the world. Let me know in the comment section if you agree with me. Let me know. If you also disagree, let me know. There's no amount of money or pay slip that equates the value of a teacher who changes lives. After being a teacher who serves, the next S, or in our triple S, is solution. You have to be solution oriented. Teachers must be solution oriented, because you know in your staff rooms and in your schools there are teachers and parents and management and directors that have a problem for every solution. So be different. Be the person that has a solution for every problem. Or at least you look for the solution to that problem. Some teachers have a solution for every problem. Other teachers have a problem for every solution. Don't be the one who has a problem for every solution. Let me tell you a story. When I was in class 5, I had a teacher who, instead of solving a problem for me, she made me the laughing stock. She made me lose my self-esteem. Let me tell you the story, and I'll not mention her name. So I was in class 5, and my mom was a hawker. We used to hawk milk. And I used to help my mom after school and during the holidays. So my mom delivered a bouncing baby girl. Her name is Regina. She's grown up now, 20 years, 20 something years. So when my mom delivered, and we were very poor, they say not humble background, we were poor. So my mom, she could not go to work for 3 days. So that meant, as a hawker, milk had to be sold. My mom was a hawker selling milk. So milk had to be sold. So what happened is, I didn't go to school for 3 days. My mom took maternity leave for 3 days, just imagine. And I took paternity leave from school for 3 days. So I didn't go to school. And I went to sell milk. So at least we can have a hot plate at the end of the day. So after 3 days, my mom left my sister Regina at the care of my grandmother. And I had to go back to school. And now, my mom could not go with me to school to explain to the teacher why the past 3 days I did not come to school. So what did my mom do? My mom asked my brother to scribble a letter for me. So my brother wrote a letter, and I took the letter to the teacher and wrote to the teacher. In all her wisdom, all her experience as a teacher, she took the letter and she read it in front of class. And as you know, I don't know, anywhere, I'm pretty sure anywhere and everywhere in the world, students or pupils are, in Swahili is called wachekaji wa kulipwa. They are people who, they perform the laughing at someone like they are paid for it. So, for that term, I was mocked. I was laughed at every corner, and I was a timid young boy. I could not fight. We were poor. I was dirty. I didn't have that much friends in school. So I was picked at. Every corner I turned. He didn't come to school. Mama yake alizaa, alienda kuuza maziwa. He didn't come to school. His mother had given birth, so he didn't come to school. They laughed at me. They laughed at me. All because a teacher decided to be part of the problem. I've forgiven her, but I've not forgotten. On the other hand, let me show you a story of one of the best footballers of our generation. Ian Wright played for Arsenal. Let's see how his teacher made him the person he is today. How his teacher solved the problem. Watch this with me.
Ian's still the highest scoring striker ever to play for Arsenal, and he owes a lot to the man who first taught him to kick a ball, his old school teacher, Sid Pigden.
As I hadn't seen him for, 23, 24 years, and so he would now be expecting me to be 6 feet under, I would think. I don't actually think, he probably won't recognise me because he won't believe it's me. Hello, Ian. Long time no see.
Mr. Pigden, you're alive.
I'm alive, he says. How are you doing?
can't believe it. Someone said you was dead.
As you see, I'm very patient, and I'm so glad you've done so well with yourself.
He was so supportive all the time. He kind of like had me as his kind of like special guy. I don't know what to say.
Oh,
God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You know, now I realise how important he was in my life. The first main imposing figure, male figure in my life. He was trying to guide me on the right road.
how far are we going back now? 40 years, 30 years
easy,
anyway.
Easy, 32 years.
Yeah.
There you have it. Ian Wright, a grown man crying because of what this man did. This teacher, Mr. Pigden, decided to be a solution to a problem. Ian was rowdy, a rowdy young man. The teacher could have punished him or maybe expelled him from school, but the teacher knew there was something, and he taught him football, like you heard Ian saying. As Muhammad Ali said in his beautiful quote, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room on earth." So this teacher decided to be the solution to a problem. And in life, everywhere you turn, there will always be problems. So a teacher, be a problem solver, because a good education can change anyone. A good teacher changes everything. So which one are you? Are you the problem solver or the problem causer? I don't know if that is it. That's English, but I understand. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. So be the problem solver. Be like Mr. Pigden. Solve problems. And this will lead you to the last S, which is sacrifice. You've said service, solution, and then sacrifice. The thing is about sacrifice is that people rarely notice. People rarely notice. But when you do something negative, when you do a mistake, they will reprimand you. You will be fined. But when you sacrifice, rarely will people notice. But sacrifice anyway. What is sacrifice? Because the teachers that we read about, the teachers in history, the great leaders in history, they sacrificed. What did they sacrifice? Their time, their energy, their comfort, their wealth. They sacrificed. That is why they are celebrated today. I remember during COVID, reading a story of a teacher who was teaching a young girl. And the parents noticed, she was teaching via Zoom, as you remember. So the parents noticed that this one teacher, this specific teacher, was teaching at a park. She would sit at a bench in a park and teach from there. Well, the other teachers were in a room, nice background, quiet, but this teacher, there was some noises, there was sometimes people were passing, distractions. So the mother of the young girl became very irritated and furious and complained to the husband, said, "This teacher is disrespecting us. Why is she teaching our daughter in a park?" The mother said, "I will report tomorrow. If she does the same, I will report her to the authorities, to the management." And the father said, "Just before you escalate to the management, please, just do what? Talk to her. Ask her." So the next day, the father, the mother, and the daughter, they wait for the teacher. When it was her time, lo and behold, on the bench, in the park again, the mother flew to rage and interjected the teacher, said, "You are disrespecting us. We pay a lot of money. We pay you a lot of money," just like I'm sure you teachers have been told that. "We pay you a lot of money. Why are you doing this? Why are you disrespecting us?" And the teacher just lowered her head and she apologized. And she said, "This park, it's in a hospital. My mother contracted COVID and I'll be here for just a few days. But I decided, other than push the classes forward, rather than postpone the classes, I decided I didn't want my students to miss their classes. That is why I'm here. She had sacrificed, but the people she was sacrificing for did not notice and almost reported her to the authorities. So people might not see your sacrifice. Sacrifice anyway. That is why Martin Luther King Jr. said, judge a person by what they do that they did not have to do. And to judge the true character of a person is what they do when no one is watching. So if you want to change lives as a teacher, I know it's difficult. I know you are not paid enough. But teaching is a calling. Teaching is a calling. As a Muslim, I don't know about you, but as a Muslim, I believe whatever you give, Allah tells us in the Quran, Al-Jaza'ul Ihsan illa al-Ihsan. Is there any other reward for doing good other than good? So if you do good, good will come back to you. And I remind you, the purpose of teaching is teaching purposefully. Should I say that again? The purpose of teaching is teaching purposefully. You might not be paid enough. You might go through a lot of issues, but remember to teach purposefully. And don't teach children like you are taught. Because if you teach children like you are taught, you are destroying their future. Because these children were born for a different time. So serve, be solution-oriented, and then sacrifice. You are a teacher, and that is your superpower. You are a superhero. Unaweza.